Hello everyone, I'm Nathaniel Hoover, aka Gemini Laser, aka Flashman85, and you've been listening to Final Fantasy V Sinking Deeper from ocremix.org by halc. Today I'm going to be doing something a little different than my usual fare. Normally I play Mega Man. Today I'm playing Megaquarium. We're going to put fish in boxes, as my wife likes to put it. So this is going to be a very relaxing game. I'm going to take you through an aquarium that I built previously, just to give you a sense of what things look like in this game. And then maybe we'll build an aquarium from scratch. And that's what this game is. It's an aquarium building simulator. So I'm going to fire that right up. I'm curious to know if anyone in chat has played Megaquarium before, because I'm going to treat this as a sort of first introduction, assuming people haven't played it kind of game. And as always, let me know if the volume balance is okay. There we go. Everybody sees the game. Everybody hears the game, I hope. Yes, I know my wife's played it. Thank you, in another castle. Alright, so we're going to start... Well, I'll just give people a second to get into chat. I always like going through options menus on games because that doesn't get shown off in Let's Plays, so just so you have a sense of all of the fun things that you can do and configure, and then we will get into actually playing the game. Fun stuff. Okay, so we're going to load a game, and let me show you a map that I'm pretty proud of. So, actually, let me demonstrate. So, with Megaquarium, you have Sandbox mode, and you can just build whatever kind of aquarium you want, or you can do campaigns. So, the base game comes with these 10 wonderful campaigns, and they all have a limited number of fish that you can purchase, different types of equipment that you can use in your aquarium, and this gives a fantastic learning curve, and it's one of the best tutorials I've ever seen in a video game. It just, the entire thing from start to finish keeps on training you up to get to this last this last campaign, which is build a Megaquarium containing the largest fish on the planet, the whale shark. And I will show you the aquarium that I built to house a whale shark. We also have Freshwater Frenzy that has its own campaigns, that's DLC, and then Sandbox, which we'll get to in a little bit. So let's load up that aquarium that I built, Megaquarium, and just give you a quick tour, give you a sense of what you're in for if you've never played this game before. And then we'll build an aquarium. Anybody else in chat played this game? Aside from my wife. So just a quick little overview. You can spin it around, you can zoom in, you can zoom out. So here's kind of what I got going on here. I'm not going to worry about any of the technical nitty-gritty. First, I'm going to take you on a walking tour of my aquarium. And you can just walk right through other people, that's fine. So we have some Leafy Seadragons greeting you as you're on your way in. And of course the gift shop. Gotta have a gift shop first thing off. Currently we have no t-shirts. I don't know what my staff is doing, but they're not staffing it with hats or... Oh man, everybody's getting behind. You have arrows where you can point your guests in a particular direction. You have staff doors, which only the staff can get into, so you've got all of the equipment that's keeping your fish alive and well heated or well cooled, depending. Got these little dividers that can tell people to go in one way but not out the other way. I'm controlling traffic flow here. And you've got your cute little, you know, some of the basic fish. These are all tropical fish here. You can theme your aquarium different ways. Good old pufferfish. Group. Lionfish. This is not a petting tank, fortunately. A little nubbin out here. You can put in some... And you can mix and match what kind of fish. Some of them may not go well together. They may eat each other. They may complain about being with each other. You can put corals in. You can decorate your tanks however you like with anchors and barrels and rocks and all sorts of different things. So these are all the very, very simple fish that you start out with. And then here in the big room, ooh, this is where you got the whale shark and some other cute critters. And so I figured this would be a nice centerpiece for the aquarium. And then just keep weaving in and out of other... Got some crabs dancing around there. Out of other wings. I didn't really theme these wings necessarily. Like, I generally tried to keep cold water and tropical fish together. We have a little stand here where people can give talks about different fish. So I themed each section with some of the decorations you can have. Very big, goofy-looking fish. Unicorn surgeonfish. You seem to have docked with the rock. Got very big. Another nice view of the big tank. And then out here, yep, somebody giving a talk. Have all of the cold water fish in here. Unfortunately, the fish do clip through the decorations in the tank. If there's ever a sequel to this, I would love to see a little more collision working around. And my wife loves skates and stingrays, so of course I had to have a tank like this out there. These are Kreisel tanks. I think that's how it's pronounced, Kreisel. Normally reserved for jellyfish, because they have some circulating action. Not a fan of jellyfish, but I put them in anyway because that's what I had. But I like using different tanks for different kinds of things. Got some more fish swimming around doing fish things. Some cuttlefish to cuddle with. And moving on along. I realize that I'm not going to have probably the same viewer count that I normally have for Mega Man stuff, but I wanted to do this because I have been playing. I've logged over 100 hours in this game, and I wanted to share this with some other people and also do something a little relaxing, a little bit different, trying to branch out. You have vending machines, and of course, and trash for people to, a bin for people to throw their trash into. Didn't really have much to put in this tank. Sorts of little things over here. Big group. Yeah, you have to be careful about what fish you put into what tanks because they will eat each other at certain sizes, certain kinds. It's no fun to open up your daily message and find an autopsy report on your fish. Zoop. Some butterfly fish. And of course you've got to have the vibro chairs. Lots of angelfish. You can walk through the tanks. I don't need to walk around them. More fish. Seahorses, pipefish just hanging around doing their thing. And I like the effect that you've got of several layers of fish tank there. I think it makes you feel like you're a little more underwater. Back to our big tank. And then I believe this is the final wing before we start building our own aquarium. Got lots of big things in here. Get a sneak peek at that. Some ridiculous jellyfish. Horse-eye jack, which are just, I don't know, I find these fish annoying. Trying to fit them in tanks with other fish, I often have problems. Then you have tanks that you can walk through, so you can bump into other people and be like, oh, cool, thanks for, you know, leaving your food in here. Yeah, really cool stuff in here. Not a lie, Nautiluses. More sharks. And then our turtles and all the bigger ones in there. And then here's our exit. This is our hallway of everything you might have missed. So different kinds of comfy seating and all of the different food and beverage that you might have missed all in one place. And then you are back out here. You have your nice row of vibrating recliners and can just sit and watch the big fish. And then out you go. Thanks for visiting my aquarium. So anyhow, that's one that I really like. I like how this aquarium turned out. But let's start a new one. So chat, if there's actually anybody in chat and I'm not just talking to myself, what kind of aquarium would you like to see? I figure I'll do a smaller one, play for an hour or two. But I'm going to set this to easy. Like, so what kind of shape, what kind of layout do you want? Are you interested in seeing for this aquarium, or should I just, you know, run with it and see what happens? I leave this in your hands, chat. Again, if anyone actually exists in chat, I see a couple people talk before, but it's been unusually quiet, so... There we go. What are the possible shapes? So you can make any shape that you want. There's no limit. Mega Man shaped. I knew somebody was going to ask that. I almost set up an aquarium in advance that was built out. Alright, so let me take you quickly through Sandbox mode here. So we have starting rank 12. So you have Prestige is one of the, it's not a resource, but it's one of the counters that you have. And the more Prestige you have, you unlock more things that you can use in your aquarium. Decorations to put into tanks, types of fish that you can research. I'm going to bump this to maximum so we can use everything out of the gate, including the freshwater Water expansion pack. Everything is already unlocked. Normally you would need to research things. You gain science points. Certain fish, if you have them in your aquarium, will grant you research points. For environmental, so that's animals, and then tech, which is for all of the equipment that helps you power your tanks. So all of the equipment, all of that's going to be unlocked already. I'm going to turn off the side objectives and the trades and merchants. Normally, you would have people emailing you every so often saying, hey, I have a fish I want to trade, and you can do that. I'm not going to bother with that because I'm playing on easy mode, and that's going to give me more than enough money that I need. Everything's unlocked, so I don't need to trade for everything, so I'm just going to keep this nice and simple. But I'm going to keep unlimited money off. I want to actually earn the aquarium that I'm making. So let's start the game. Yes, confirm. Okay, so here's what you start with. You start with your tiny little aquarium, and you've got all of your construction stuff up here. So this is demolish. You are not running a bulldozer through your fish tanks. You are just selling your tanks if you don't want it. You can move objects. So here's what we're looking at, expanding and filling in. So we can make this as big as we want, whatever shape we want. The only restriction is that you cannot build past the entrance. So we can't loop up this way and enclose it or anything like that, even though technically in real life you could have an elevator or a ramp or something like that to get around being boxed in. Yeah, I know this new Mega Man game looks weird. Make a fish-shaped aquarium. That could be fun. Okay, so let's start out with a basic fish shape. I'm just freehanding this, so this is going to be terrible. Absolutely terrible. So let's rotate it this way so that... Eep. Alright. So this is as zoomed out as I can go. And I guess we gradually, you know, kind of... roll it out into a fish shape like that. I'm just going to do generic fish, not any specific particular fish. And then round it back on the back here. I'll fill in all of the rest of this in a minute. And then little choke point kind of here. And then we'll get your fishy tail. You can tell I didn't go to art school. Let's widen this a little bit. And then let's fill in on the bottom. Sort of roughly what we're working with up there. Oh, that's too big a fish, so we're going to fill this in. York. And then something like... I could be a little more precise if I really, really wanted to be, but I don't really, really want to be. Alright, so our fish actually isn't completely symmetrical here, but let's fill in the rest. Alright. Something vaguely resembling a fish. And this is what it currently looks like in first-person mode if you're just walking through. It's a big empty nothingness. Oh yeah, on easy mode, you start off with a bunch of money. This is not an issue. Okay, so let me walk you through what we got. We've got, so, you know, we demonstrated these tools. Walls. We can actually build walls going whatever direction. I'm sorry, didn't actually want to build that there, so let's bulldoze these. And what's nice is that you get back the money that you paid, because it's like $2 per wall, and you get back $2. There's no penalty for building something and demolishing something, at least on easy, which is unusual, because normally in games you only get back a percentage of what you spent when you sell it. So that makes this very forgiving and nice. So platforms, build them at deep tanks for staff to access, and then the stairs that you climb up to get onto the platforms, not worrying about those. Everything in here is just sort of information, pop-up information of various sorts to help you figure out what you're doing, but none of this is actually construction stuff. So here, and you do have a search tool, which I've actually never used, but you've got different kinds of tanks. So I like to put some sort of big tank to attract people's attention up front. We've got all sorts of different kinds that are suitable for different types of fish. They've got, you know, like this is the depth, this has rounded edges, certain kinds of fish need that. And then these stars are for prestige, which we're not worrying about here. But normally the way the mechanics work are when somebody views a fish tank, the fish that are in it and the type of tank and the decorations that are in the tank have a chance of generating some sort of science or prestige or something that you need to accumulate to be able to unlock stuff. And so you want to gradually go for more and more of these high prestige things to really boost your prestige there. So we can use whatever we want. I am a fan of the Belfast tank. I think that's a nice one to enter with. But I think I'm going to do something different, actually. I think a feeding platform tank might be fun for people to walk into. Oh, but you know what? This is going to annoy me. Not that symmetry really matters here, because I kind of wung it with the shape of the fish here, but we've got two platforms. We've got a 2-space-wide platform against a 3-wide entranceway, and I know that's going to drive me nuts unless I rotate it. So maybe let's actually do the traditional... where am I at? I want the Belfast tank. Yeah. It looks like a fisheye, though. Okay. Yeah, so why don't we put in... I like to give people enough space to walk around. They physically can't... The collision isn't really a thing in this game, so people will just walk directly through each other, but I like having some amount of space. So let's say... Let's try and make this vaguely symmetrical, maybe. Yeah, looks about right. So let's start with this. And let me move this over so it's actually... 1, 2, 1, 2, yeah. Okay, so now, when you walk through the front gates, first thing you see is this big old tank. And, of course, you need to hook stuff up. You need to hook up filters of various sorts and heating or cooling to make sure that it's actually safe for your fish to exist in. There's kind of two ways that you can do this. You can either plug in all of your equipment first and then put in the fish that are going to, you know, use these things. Or you drop in the fish first, and then you see what they're complaining about. Oh, you know, I need to be in 100-degree water, and this one's -50. And like, okay, fine, fish. We'll build all the equipment that you need. And then you can just look at what their requirements are. Because if I just drop fish into a tank, they're going to holler at me for... So, water temperature is too low, so this fish may die. I don't have the requisite 50 filtering. I don't have the requisite 225 to heat a tank of this size. And I don't have any orange pellet to feed these fish. So I can work backwards from this and provide all of the things that they need and just hope I don't run out of money. But that's not what I'm going to do. Anybody have any fish preferences? I'm going to skim through the list, show you what we got. And then you can tell me if there's any fish. So we're going to start with tropical, then we'll do cold water, then we'll look at freshwater. Not a big fan of the freshwater fish, though, most of them. So we have lots of little fish. We have very colorful, tiny fish of different sorts. So we could do a big tank that has lots of really tiny fish of all different kinds. More of these smaller fish. We have groupers which like to eat the smaller fish, so they are problematic to put in tanks. All of the icons here tell you the basics about how much prestige they're going to generate, how much science they generate, what size the fish is going to be as it grows up. They start small, a lot of them start small and then grow into a larger size, what temperature they require, and then their requirements for filtering, and then what they eat. After that, it's, do they have any special requirements for what needs to be in the tank with them or what cannot be in the tank with them, and any considerations like they create more waste and therefore need greater filtering than the average fish. Also have a bunch of surgeon fish here, butterfly fish, angelfish. And then we get into some of the unique ones, and I do have, again, the Architect's Collection DLC and Freshwater Frenzy, so there are more fish here than you would normally see with the base game. And you see we're getting bigger on some of the size, up to 20 for some of these fish. We were starting with like 3 and 4 size. All of the lionfish, which can't be housed. Some of them have requirements they can't be housed with other types of fish, so these can only go together. These two can only go with each other. This one can hang around with other fish. And then we got sharks, stingrays, manta rays, eels, seahorses, which also can only be housed with each other, pufferfish, snappers, finfish, wrasses, tiny, extremely poisonous octopus, and you hover over the information here and it tells you interesting facts like, don't be distracted by this octo's beauty. It carries enough venom in a single bite to kill 26 adult humans. And having recently rewatched the James Bond movie Octopussy, this is one of the... you might recognize this if you've seen that movie. Mandarin dragonet, ocean sunfish. So we have oddballs. I love that this is a category. They just lump them all together. And then different kinds of crabs, turtles, manatees, a starfish, which can actually go in the same tank as this jellyfish, but the jellyfish can't go with anybody else. Lots of different corals, which grow up to be all nice and pretty. And so that's the tropical fish. So why don't we start with some tropical fish? We'll move on to the other ones. So anybody have any preferences? Fish-shaped aquarium, but all the fish being shown are things like crustaceans, octopus rays, and other non-fish-shaped creatures. I'm here for it. That sounds wonderful. So, all right, let's forego the fish, and let's do everything but fish. So, sharks, well, non-fish shaped, so let's save sharks if we actually need room. So we can have a ray tank to start with. I know that'll make my wife happy. So looking at the size requirements, we have some big ones here. So this is an active swimmer that requires a big tank. When fully grown, it needs a tank of at least 864. Hello, new people. A yay tank. So 864 well exceeds the current size of 225, so we can't fit that fish in there. At its base size we can, but it's never going to grow up, and I don't want to, prevent people from growing up. Over here, this one needs 360, so that's going to be a fairly large size. So that'll be a problem because that's too big for this tank. But this one and this one and this one can all fit. However, we have this little warning sign down here. Warning, may eat or damage animals size 1 to 3, which is not a problem because these are all bigger than that, but when fully grown, up to size 22. This one isn't going to grow big enough. This one will. So we can only put 2 of these in the same tank. So there's a little bit of puzzles, puzzle work going on here. Although this is armored, and it's got an effective size of 16 when determining whether a predator can eat it, and that's at its base size. So when it's fully grown, I don't know off the top of my head what the number actually is when it's fully grown, what its armor is, but I think, maybe, possibly, it might just be enough. I could look this up, but I'm not going to look this up right now. Punky, I've been doing okay lately. Things are kind of settling down to normal in my life now, and I can kind of get back to doing all the cool stuff that I want to be doing. Alright, so we're going to take a chance on it. It is, without looking it up to see if when it's fully grown it's going to have enough armor to be at least 23 or more so it doesn't get eaten by the sawtooth fish, but let's give it a shot. It'll take you 6 days to grow up, 9 days to grow up, 4 days to grow up. So I'm going to put these 2 in here first, and then I'll add a sawfish after the fact. And actually, that'll be good. Once they're fully grown, then we can determine, is this one actually going to be big and armored enough to not get eaten by the sawfish? Woo-ha! Alright, so we got 40, we got 17, and 56. Let me pull up my calculator real quick. So we have 225. Oh, you know what? I need to make sure not to use keyboard commands on here. 56. Yeah. I know this is sort of a weird one to stream because of like doing math on the fly. So we'll pop in, let's start with 2 of these stingrays. I'm sorry, did you think I was trying to flop the stingray on the floor? I did click on the tank. So that'll be 80 when they're all grown up. Let's put 3 of these in for now, because that'll be, yeah, and that'll leave me enough room for a sawfish, and then we can fill this in with other stuff if we so desire. But let's wait until they all grow up. Let's put on a platform so that staff can access it, and then we'll start filling out stuff. But not over there. Allow the staff to get in here. And what else do you want? You want 225 for heating. So let's pop that in. Let's do a mega heater. Bonk. Mega heaters are good for 220 worth of heating, and the amount of heat you need is equal to or greater than the size of the tank. So this is 225. So I'm going to put in, whoops, I'm going to put in another regular size heater. And I always like to have a little bit more than the heating, a little bit more heating than is actually required. So we're at 310 of 225. So when one of these machines breaks down, it's going to slowly count down the temperature 1 degree at a time. So that gives you a little bit of a buffer if you're over the threshold that you need for your staff to come over here and fix the machine before it starts adversely affecting the animals in the tank. The animals have health meters, so they don't just die instantly if one of their requirements isn't met. You have some time to go fix whatever the problem is. On easy mode, it's extremely lenient, but you'll have problems on higher difficulties. Am I short on follow count? You know what? I don't actually do enough streaming to do any affiliate stuff, and I stream on Twitch, but I don't consider myself like a Twitch streamer, Punky, in the sense that some other people do who make a career out of this and get the advertising and stuff. I am just doing this to share games that I enjoy with other people, and, so this is fine for me for the moment. We need to fix this poor water quality, so we've got different kinds of filters. The one thing that they don't really teach you is that the filters in this game kind of need to be balanced. You have different types of filtering, so you see like the little gear icon for the type of filtering with a mega filter, and when you open up the tank you'll see this icon. It's got 220 worth of basic filtering power, and then you attach like a protein skimmer to it. This provides a different type. This is protein skimming. And then you see that the tank now has protein skimming power. What you want to do to keep things as well filtered as possible is keep an even balance across all the different types. So 220, would be ideal. Because the higher the filtration that you need, the harder it gets to achieve that. And there's something about the numbers being in balance that will matter more than just bulking up on any one particular type of filter. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to put in a very, very big filter. This is a mega double filter, which provides combined filtering and skimming for huge tanks. So let's try this one. Feel free to boost the stream. Honest to goodness, I don't even really know what that means, but you are welcome to do it. We're going to put some walls back here so that the aquarium guests don't need to see all this. We'll fill this in more thoroughly later. And if I really wanted to, I could attach pumps to the tank so that these filters don't need to be directly attached to it. Next thing, we need 12 cave. So here's all of the decorations that we can put into the cave. Lots of plant stuff, lots of rock stuff, and so these give you prestige, which, as previously mentioned, help unlock different things if you're not playing with them already unlocked. But certain animals need certain types of things, so like rocks, and in this case, caves. So we need to add actual caves, or something that will provide caves. So we have like little driftwood caves, or a rocky overhang, or what have you. So to meet that 12, we could do a pitted column and a driftwood cave. That would total up enough. Or a rocky overhang and something else. So I think because we have some stingrays floating around, I think it might be fun to put this as a centerpiece. And then when you look down here, they can just float right through it. What else do we need? So we need, let's start from the bottom, sand eel. So we go into our list of, here's all of the different foods you can feed your fish. So we're looking for sand eel. A slim, low-calorie fish that is commonly found in burrowed sand substrate. Okay. So we want to put this somewhere within access so that everybody who's working on this doesn't need to run back and forth so much. So I'm going to put these, let's put them right here, and then also allows access to fix the heating stuff. And so we got sand eel, we need supplements, and supplement. Contains a plethora of different supplements for your fish. The frequency with which an animal requires supplements depends on the species. And so they do have a limited number of doses or feedings in here, and so you just build more of these if you don't have enough to cover everything that's in the tank. So like this, there are 5. They need a total of 5 supplements across everything in the tank. This one holds 15, so I don't need to build more. And then, ooh goody, live lugworms. So we're going to have some live lugworms over here. Actually, better yet, we can rotate these and put them here. And then let's... What am I doing here with my life? We're going to put... So it's interesting. You need to feed the food to feed to the fish. So we're going to do... Where are we? Zooplankton dispenser. Suitable for feeding filter feeders, such as corals, or in this case, live lugworms. So they need to be fed, and this contains 25 per day, and we need to feed 24 per day. So we'll be fine. We could buy another one just to have extra, and actually we might do that. Because depending on the feeding schedule, sometimes things work out a little weirdly with filling these up. Okay, so now we have all of our basic stuff required here. Now, we can decorate this tank and make it extra pretty. In addition to things that fish require, like plants, we've got different decorations of various sorts. So we can do like a piratey theme with a pirate chest and a skull. We can do, they have an Aztec theme, they have a Greek theme, lots of different themes, or just random stuff that's underwater stuff and or nautical in some capacity, island related, like an Easter Island head, that just looks fun. So I think a sunken airplane, if we can fit it, could be a cool way to start. It's not going to fit very well into here unless I move over this big rock. But I kind of like the rock in the middle here. So let's see what we can put around it. So what do we think? Greek theme? Maybe do a Greek theme to start with. Have more things for the... Okay, so that's actually a little ridiculous because it will stick out over the top of the tank. That's really intended for not being put in a tank or being put in one of the very, very big tanks. So maybe let's start with something a little smaller. Maybe have some Acropolis columns that you can drag across there. And we could put also, like, you have Humongous Vase, which is ridiculous. And you've got a statue of Poseidon, which is also ridiculously tall. So maybe not putting those in there. But we can do a little vase, like over to the side somewhere maybe. And we can put in some plants to pretty it up. Go with something low to the ground, maybe, so that we're not hiding our tank tenants too much. So maybe a little bit of this. Yeah, so we have something like that. And once I hit play and the fish start moving around, that'll be nice. And we can always put in more fish later that we're not at tank capacity yet. But we've got basically all the basic stuff here for our first tank. Hooray! Now, we of course want to add some creature comforts for... you know what? I am going to expand this out just a little bit. Add some creature comforts for the people visiting the aquarium. So Don't take the silence as inactivity. I've just been super into what you're doing. Cool. I'm glad to hear it, because I know this is really different fare than what I'm used to streaming for this channel, but just in general, I usually just get absorbed in games like this and play them for myself. And, you know, if it's sharing it with other people, it's talking with someone who's also played this game, or actively working together, you know, passing the mouse back and forth to build something, which I haven't done in, like, decades. But so this is something that I love doing, and I honestly don't know if it's something my audience is interested in watching, but I figured I'd share it because I'm into it. But I thank you for confirming silence is not inactivity. That makes me feel better. All right. So, we're not looking here. So, for some reason, I feel like the modern computer games, modern simulation games specifically, have gotten really into super streamlining their menus. I grew up on, like, SimCity 2000, and they had very colorful buttons and very detailed buttons that really looked like the object that you were going to put down. And here, we've got things that are sort of the essence of the object that you're going to put down. All of these are very minimalist. It's all the same color. It's all very sleek and streamlined, and that's fine. I don't think that there's anything wrong with that, but I myself find that I have trouble sometimes, even though I've logged, like I said, more than 100 hours on this game, I still find myself clicking the wrong button when I'm looking for, oh, wait a second, I want, you know, the fish I can always find, but sometimes I'm like, oh, it's the tank. No, wait, no, it's the thing that's attached to the tank that looks very similar to the tank at a quick glance. So I just get mixed up a little bit. I'm like, I don't know why I'm getting mixed up. I shouldn't be, but yeah, sometimes that happens. So I want to get some niceties. So here we've got, you know, toilet, drink, fork, and sleeping, all of the important things in life. So you've got different things that your guests can sit on. And I think the Architect's Collection really helps with this particular game, or at least improving off the base game, because the base game gives you a bench and gives you a padded bench. And I believe all of this is from the Architect's Collection, which gives you more options to really customize. So like the banquettes, you can do really cool, you know, you can bank corners and make all sorts of squiggly shapes with your seating, and just have, instead of just having a set place to sit. But we're going to start with, and I'm not going to build into the walls, I'm just going to build around what we already have. So I think let's provide a place to sit right off the bat. And let's do this, and you can click and drag, which is convenient. So now we've got, built-in banquette seating right at the entrance. So, you know, if you're like, you know, waiting for your kids to catch up with you and you're ready to leave, or if just the getting into this aquarium was exhausting and you need a break before you get into it, now you got a place to sit. Also, you'll want to have some food and beverages. So for drinks, we've got fizzy drinks, coffee, and orange juice. For food, we've got chocolate, popcorn, and froyo. And somehow I feel like popcorn in particular is just a terrible idea in an aquarium where you've potentially have like petting tanks and any open air tanks. I just imagine people chucking popcorn or spilling popcorn by accident into tanks, which is why we're going to just build like, no, we're not going to go overboard like that. But we are going to have little corners here where we put in some food and drink. So let's start with the basics. And the difference between these, how much money you can make off them. Now, you can make more money. People are willing to pay higher prices on the fancier stuff, and you can adjust the price, and people may pay a little more, or they'll be happier if you pay, have them charge a little less. But these machines can break down, just like some of your aquarium equipment. So let's try something basic here. We'll do a fizzy drink. We'll do popcorn over here, like a movie theater. And we need bins, trash bins, to throw them in. So we got our basic one. And the Architect's Collection adds a themed bin and a wall bin. Because I'm not going to be changing the architecture beyond our fish shape that we have, I'm not going to be using the wall bins, even though they're very nice and they kind of hide, so you can't really tell what's going on with them. But the themed bin, I think, should work fine. It's got, the receptacle has holes on multiple sides, so you can use it coming around the corner. And each of these has a radius. So when guests start coming in, when they are within the radius, let me zoom out a little farther, you can see there's this drop shadow here, right? When guests are within this radius, they will consider using this object of yours. It's the same deal with the food and drink machines. If they're anywhere on one of these squares that's shaded in, if they get hungry or thirsty, need to go to the bathroom, whatever, they will say, okay, I'm going to go to one of these machines. If they're even one square outside of that, they're going to complain, well, I'm thirsty and there's nowhere to drink in this aquarium. So if you want to keep your people happy at all times, which helps maintain your prestige, which we're not worrying about here, so we can make our guests miserable at all times if we want, and have no consequences. But we'll be trying to space these relatively frequently so that nobody ever has any issues. And then over here on this side, I will, because I wasn't very symmetrical, let's put in a bin here for symmetry. And let's try have coffee to get everybody started. And everybody loves chocolate and coffee, I think. Maybe. I don't drink coffee. I have no idea. Is it a puzzle of where to put the fish to keep people in places where you have things available? No, it's not. So even the tanks... Let me save before I do this in case I mess something up terribly. Oh, we need a name for this aquarium. Maybe we'll call it Faux Fish. The Faux Fish Aquarium. Because they're not truly fish. Yeah, so even actually, let's do it this way. So tanks also have an area of interest. You see this drop shadow here that I'm dragging around. So when people come within the shadow area here, then they will say, oh, there's a tank, let me go look at it. So it's sort of a balance of where am I putting the tanks and close enough to the tanks that people will be attracted over to these things when they need a drink, when they need whatever. I don't know if that answers the question. Oh, thank you. I didn't realize I bumped the game over pop-up. I don't even know how I did that, but okay. I don't think I touched the keyboard for anything. Yes, fun times. Here we go. All right. So let's put some toilets in here. So you got your basic toilet, and on harder difficulty modes, and if you don't have the prestige built up or the DLC to be able to access this other stuff, you'll be more limited in what choices you have. So for right now, in this aquarium, I'm never going to use a basic toilet. There's just no need. This basic toilet will allow your guests to void their bladders without embarrassing themselves, or your fish may require cleaning after concentrated use. I love that everything has flavor text, even though it doesn't need it. But the theme toilet, you can paint different colors, and that's something we'll get into in a little bit. All of the different paints that you can use to theme your areas. But I'm not worrying about that yet. So a theme toilet could be changed to the theme, or the deluxe toilet is super fancy. The main difference here is this generates more prestige than this one does. So it's really a matter of, if you are trying to gain prestige, go for the deluxe toilets. It's 8 uses until it gets dirty and needs to be cleaned by staff. And this one requires skill to clean the toilet. So, and I haven't even gotten to staff yet, but all of the different staff you can hire, everybody's got different abilities, different levels of skill, and it will take longer for people with low skill to clean a deluxe toilet. So it's all of these different things that you're kind of managing of, is it worth the extra prestige if it's going to take longer to clean the toilet, and if a dirty toilet makes our guests unhappy, which reduces prestige. So it's sort of finding a balancing act. I think the theme toilets are fun because they don't have these rounded edges which don't fit into very 90-degree angle aquariums like you can make here, and I like that you can change these to different colors. So I'm gonna put a toilet near the entrance, and as you can see from the shadow, this has a pretty broad radius, so you don't need to put these as close together as some of the other things. But you also don't want to be like, oh, here, let me get my soda and popcorn and watch you coming out of the bathroom without washing your hands. So you don't want to put these directly on the main thoroughfare, I've found. You want to put these slightly off to the side so that people can still access them, but that it's not necessarily, right in everybody's face. So something that you can do, which I like doing, is kind of put it around the corner here. And let's build a wall to hide this stuff out of the way. And so now, when you're walking through, it's like, oh, yeah, I got my drink, got my whatever, let's go look at the fish. And they know that there are toilets here, but visibly they're nice and neat and out of the way, and you can just, boop, oh, there you go. And let me finish filling in the walls here. So even if these get horribly dirty, they're far enough away that average people walking by aren't going to complain about them. All right, so we have our basic entryway here. Let's duplicate this on the other side, which means just after we get through the initial section where I want everything to be vaguely symmetrical, we'll start adhering to my rule of don't build out the aquarium, just stick with the shape that you have. So pop those down, enclose. There we go. Now, you will also need to clean the toilets, and in order to do that, your staff will need to have tools. So down on the tool menu here, we've got broom stands, provides a broom that your staff can use to sweep litter from the floor. Or sponges, provides a sponge that your staff can use to wash things that get dirty, which is exclusively toilets. I have never seen anything else that can get dirty. So we're going to put a broom stand, assuming there's sinks that can be installed near the toilets as well. So actually there are no sinks in this game. We just assume either that nobody ever washes their hands, or that, you know, this toilet area is just magically self-cleaning, that you walk out and everything's all nice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a cleaning station here, and I'm going to hide it with a wall. So to people just walking around, it's like, okay, there's the toilets back there, and then I, of course, will need to put a staff door here. And there's two kinds. If you have the Architect's Collection, you have this other option here. But you have a staff door that very clearly says, this is for staff, don't go in here. And you've got another one that's sort of like, oh, it's just part of the scenery, don't mind me. And so depending on how I'm feeling, you know, I might have one of those big, obvious, okay, don't go in here, this is staff only. Or I might try and hide it a little bit if I want to, you know, preserve the aquarium magic. So your staff will go through these doors, but your guests will not. And then here we just have a little broom closet. And then people are within close range of going around and cleaning the toilet. If you put your stuff too far away, you are going to have your staff wasting time schlepping across the entire aquarium for whatever equipment they need, and then coming back. Yeah, assuming that there's sinks in the toilet stalls that only the visitors can see. I think that's a safe assumption. And then we'll do the same over here. So let's... And I'm going to stop being symmetrical after we get through the opening section here, but for now it satisfies my OCD. Let's put on a sponge, and let's put on a broom, and then Hi. The game hiccups every once in a while. It's freezing on me right now, and I don't know what just happened there. What's nice is that you can build doors over top of existing walls, or you can build them as independent walls, and save yourself the $2 for the wall that you're bulldozing over. Okay, so now we've got this nice little thing going on here. And we've got the fish in the entrance, we've got places to sit, all of that. So let's look at all the other creature comforts. Is there anything else we've missed? So there's a podium, which gives your staff a place to stand while they give informative and entertaining talks to your guests. So this is if you are trying to gain prestige. Well, let me just show you what happens if I pop one of these down. So right at the entrance here, we'll need a microphone headset. I'll build one of those in a minute. But what do you want to talk about? Basic aquarium info, or any fish or tank maintenance. So that generates prestige, that generates science, which we're not worrying about because we've unlocked everything. But you can also pick any animal that's in a nearby tank to talk about. So we can have a talk about Southern Stingray or Bluespotted Ribbontail Ray. So let's do that. What time do you want to have the talk? You've got 3 options. And then this, you want to manage this because your staff members, who I will eventually put in, will be busy with other tasks, so you don't want to have it at a particular time that maybe they're feeding fish, or have too many things that are all at the same time. Like if you only have one person who is speaking in your tiny aquarium, you don't want to have all of these talks set to the same time, because then they can't do them all at once. So we'll start 9 o'clock. It's the first thing you're going to see when you walk right in the door here. And I always like to put 2 days between talks, because if you have it too often, people are going to be like, well, I don't want to hear a talk about that, because people are trapped in your aquarium for days, typically, just the way the in-game time works. We will need a microphone headset for this. Were those actual fish names or Mega Man X bosses? Yeah. Okay. So what we could do, so we want to have a spot here. If I were actually building out my aquarium a little bit more, I might put a microphone headset, like I might bulldoze this and then just put a headset here so that it's not a far cry to just run and get that. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to build a secret door here, and then I'm going to put the microphone headset next to it. So what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to find somebody to work in this area who can also do talking, and then they can just duck out and do the talk. We should also put a tool station in here, so that if stuff breaks down, we can fix it. All right, so, and that's super important. Don't want to have equipment that can break down, but no tools to fix it with. So, we now have all of our basic necessities to open up the most basic of aquariums with just a single tank with a couple fish in it. And what we could do also is we could add gift shop stuff, but I didn't really leave room up for it. You don't have to have a dedicated gift shop. This just makes money for you. They will love the colorful balloon they can buy from this shelf. They will love the adorable hermit crab toy they can buy from this shelf. So, and this is fun because then you see your people the guests walking around with a balloon in hand, wearing a shark hat. But I didn't set this up to have the gift shop up front like I often do. You can have gift shop stuff along the side here, just in random spots. It really depends. Does somebody's marriage count as equipment, and can it be fixed? That is beyond my pay grade to answer, unfortunately. Let's see. Oh, and so we could close this off also, but let's start thinking about what we're going to do with the rest of our aquarium back here. I think for the moment, if we want to get a couple people in here and just see how this looks, we can wall this off. But let's put in a secret door so that our staff can go through. Can I make a gift shop with an aquarium on the side? That I can definitely do. All right, let's hire some staff. Let's open up the aquarium, just get some people in here milling around, and then we will continue to expand. So I have a bunch of people available, and this list will keep repopulating. You will get new people available as time goes on. So we've got... looking at feeding, fixing, so your skills are feeding, which of course is self-explanatory, same as fixing, cleaning. Gift shop is whether they can stock the gift shop or not. All of these skills, you need to have this skill in order to be able to do that task at all. So, for example, skimming through here, Richard does not have the fixing skill, so Richard cannot pick up a wrench and fix any of the equipment. Richard can learn how to do so. Your staff can level up as time goes on, but right out of the gate, that's not an option. So I typically, when I'm doing like the very first person that I'm hiring, I like to have an all-rounder, somebody who can at least feed and fix. Cleaning is nice, but you can always hire more staff to fill in. So just taking a look at all the different ones, like 6 is really, really good. Normally, and there's different levels of skill that are needed to efficiently feed certain types of fish, fix certain types of machines. And we also want to have somebody with talking, because we've got a podium there. So let's see what kinds of people we have available here. And I think I'll hire somebody who's multi-talented, who's got a lot of skill right out of the gate. Oh, so many choices. This is good. This is actually a really good lineup to start with. Okay, I'm going to start with Richard, because Richard has super duper feeding skill, which is good because I believe basically anything that needs a supplement typically takes longer to feed. So I want to have somebody who's very good at feeding. Richard can clean just a little bit if necessary, and if we have a gift shop, Richard can take care of that. And then I'm also going to backtrack to Oscar, who's... well, actually, let's do somebody who's a little bit better with fixing, I think, and who can also do talking. Actually, Trisha would be fine for this, because you've got pretty good feeding, and fixing should be good enough for the equipment that we have. And talking, not the most important skill in the world right now. And we'll just stick with these two people for now. They are now at the entrance to our aquarium. They are stacked on top of each other. And let's pull up our window here. Oh, that's good, Stonehenge. I unfortunately... Well, I think I technically could customize. You can... there's a workshop. There's a Steam workshop where you can introduce your own objects. So I could probably introduce a Crushed Crawfish Crayfish t-shirt if I wanted. So under the Manage tab, we've got Richard, we've got Trisha. And you can create zones. Currently our aquarium is not large enough to need having zones. But you can create a new zone and be like, okay, this is where I want you to work, and only work in this area, but we're not going to do that right now, so forget that. And you can prioritize what they work on. So Richard can feed and clean and gift shop, but I want Richard to focus on feeding because that's what he's really good at. And then secondary for cleaning, and then if we ever get a gift shop, you know, that'll be fine. Same deal for Trisha, but I want Trisha to focus most on fixing, because Trisha's the only one who can fix right now. And then talking, because Trisha's the only one who can talk. And then feeding as a backup. Now, accessories. You can equip your people with different things. A backpack that doubles the staff member's animal food carrying capacity, which is good if you have a very large tank with a lot of fish eating the same kind of food. Saves you trips back and forth to the box. Sneakers, which increases your fitness talent, which is good for people who are cleaning, and increases their movement speed. So anybody who needs to be running around all over the place, that's good for. The tool belt increases your ability to fix machines, but it also gives you basically a small toolkit that's on your person at all times. So for any of the low-level, doesn't require high skill kind of things, you don't even need to go to the tool chest to grab your tools. You just have one on hand, so that'll save time if you're doing a lot of fixing. The feeding stick is really, really important if you have very, very finicky, high-level fish that require a high level of skill to feed, especially if they're in a really big tank with each other. So that's for like advanced levels if you're really, really building a huge aquarium with lots of picky fish. Laser pointer becomes irrelevant after a certain point because it converts 15% of any ecology or science points generated during a talk into prestige. So if you're in a mission where you are just trying to focus on gaining prestige and you don't care about researching new tech, researching new animals, this is what you'll equip your people talking with. But I find that that's even not very useful even if you want to use it. And then the octopus costume, which generates prestige whenever somebody comes into contact with one of your staff. So a lot of your staff will be, you know, hiding out behind the scenes just working on the fish tanks and stuff. But anybody who's wandering around cleaning or giving talks, you put them in an octopus costume, you're going to make people very happy. So let's assign these, and then we will build the specific accessories that they need. So I think for Richard, because feeding is the priority, and then cleaning's also... I'm going to get somebody else to do some cleaning soon, but I think because feeding is a priority, let's do the feeding stick. And then Trisha, because fixing is the priority, and can also do talking and feeding, I think let's give Trisha the tool belt. And so let's get a feeding stick and a tool belt up in here. And this is way further down here. Okay, so a tool belt dispenser. Let's just put this on the back here. And we can move these anywhere. After the staff member comes to pick it up, you don't really need to have this accessible anymore. You can just move it into a room somewhere that nobody ever goes into. Actually, heck with it. Let's do the octopus costume. Forget the tool belt. Trisha, you're an octopus now. So, you can manually, if you so desire, you can manually move them. Pick them up and plop them down wherever, instead of having them take the time. So, we're going to save, and then we are going to open the aquarium. Here we go. So, we're going to watch them get into costume. This will be glorious. Oh, yeah! And already Richard's doing some feeding. Oh, I can turn this off. So this person is actively generating prestige and science and stuff by looking at the fish. We don't need to know about that. And I don't need to know when people need to go to the bathroom or whatever. So now, Trish is giving a talk. It's amazing. And who's listening? Well, I'm listening to the talk. But, oh good, we've got all of 3 people in the aquarium. This is totally worth it. Alright, so this is all going on now. We can have this running for the moment. We will expand, but let's decorate this place, shall we? Anybody have any preferences? We've already kind of got a Greek thing going on, so maybe let's go with one of the Greek looks for the aquarium. So we can do Greek... Oops, I accidentally canceled it. We can do Greek 1, where the floor looks like this, and the walls look like this. We can do Greek 2, which has these kind of floors and these kind of walls. Or we can do Greek 3, which looks a little more like this. Anybody have any preferences? I'm kind of leaning toward 2. I love the sort of the very organic look of this carpet. But I think for our purposes, this might be a little more fun. But I'm open to suggestion. And if there's... Greek 1 looks like Yoku block patterns. Yeah, I can kind of see that. I think I'm going to stick with 2, though. I like 2. So let's... Unfortunately, there's no button... Oh, now we have changed our theme toilet to fit the theme. Unfortunately, there's no button to automatically paint everything that, like, all continuous stuff. Like, you can click and drag on the floors to fill them in, but you can't just press a button, as far as I'm aware, and have all of the walls suddenly look the same color. That you need to manually drag, each one individually, and then the arch changes, and then these benches change, the trash cans change. So it's nice that you can decorate this fully. And then let's fill in the rest of this. So it makes it a little inconvenient to sort of test out a paint job and then change your mind about it, because you either need to commit to whatever you've selected or just deal with there being some inconsistencies. So, oh, I'm glad the cat's watching the stream. That's great. Alright, so now we've got some stingrays, which will grow up and will take up more space in this tank eventually. And if we still have room, it's going to depend on if the sawtooth can fit in here without eating any of its tank mates. So we're going to do that. We're going to deal with filling in this tank after. Oh, I missed a spot. That's also why I go into first-person mode sometimes, because I notice stuff. And you can right-click to set this as your default paint, so anytime you build any more walls or anything along those lines, it will automatically be this coat of paint. So, we've got this going on. We haven't received any emails yet, but here our message log will tell us when fish are growing up, or if something died, or any kind of news that we may need to know about. Okay, so we got this kind of taken care of. What do we want to do next? I think we're gonna keep this center... how I'm thinking is probably fill in with some tanks along this side, and then fill in the other side here with another big tank. Not another Belfast tank, but another big tank. And then so sort of have like the center section, and then kind of funnel people back over here to go through a single tank with fish on each side before letting them loose into this little nonsense area where I haven't figured out what we're doing with this yet. We'll also see how far we... There's an octopus on the loose. What are you doing back here? Everybody's like, we're done for the day. The fish are fed. The toilets are clean. We're just going to wander into the fishtail now. See ya. I'm only going to be playing for another, like, 40 minutes or so. Okay, let's get the octopode. Click, and we're going to drag you back here. Interact with the guests. Make them happy. Yeah, only play for like maybe another 40 minutes or maybe an hour or something like that. I'm not sure. Which is not enough time to fill in the whole thing, especially when I just keep, standing here blathering. But yeah, see, now everybody's kicking into high gear. It's the start of a new day, and we've got things that need to be done, these little pop-ups. You can hide these pop-ups if you don't want to see them. There's like all of these buttons up here toggle the view rate, like 100% of people in the aquarium are seeing that fish tank. You can toggle the tank capacity so you always know how full it is. Lots of useful tools up here. And you can hide these and show these. But I like having these because these inform what I actually need to be doing. Like these immediately tell me, hey, your fish is going to die. Maybe you don't want that. All right, so let's figure out what we're going to put on the other side of this little island in the middle. What kind of big centerpiece do we want? Well, we can always do a tunnel tank, which I can just buy this and sell it if we don't want it. So then we can have like people crossing back and forth there, and that might be nice. Other options are we could do a let's see. Oh, we could make a large tunnel tank here and really mess with how things look, and then put an extra tank on the other... Actually, that's another way to do it. We'd have a big tank here and then put another tank on the other side to fill that in. So that's an option. Or we could put in... Let's see. One of the larger ones. Okay, well, we were talking about not putting actual fish in here. So, like, I think a medium beach tank could fit, so we could do something like that and put in like snakes or gators or something, and then have people walk around the edge there. So small tunnel tank looks more stylish. Okay, we can go with a small tunnel tank, but pause. The southern stingray has grown. Now it's bigger. Now it may eat things in the tank, but now that it's bigger, it generates more waste. And we don't have enough filter power. Oh, well, that's because the filter is broken, and the octopus is fixing our filter. Okay, let's see. Now that goes away. Okay, so there is enough filter power. It's just, it was temporarily broken. Turtles, you say? Well, actually, why don't we do it this way? Why don't we do both? I do like the look of the small tunnel tank. So we're going to stretch that out as big as it goes, and we're going to align this. And this will need a little bit of room here because we've got... let's see, what do we got? So we'll need about 2 space to attach things directly to the tank. And then we'll also need space for putting in whatever kind of food we're using to fill the... I'm now imagining an aquarium where the octopus in the tank constantly repairs its own filter. That would be delightful. So yeah, maybe we do it this way. And we want to leave enough space. A problem that I constantly run into is jamming things too tight into these areas and really needing to Tetris in all of the... Like, I'm leaving a bit of blank space now, but this very easily could be every single square of usable space is packed in with something because I didn't allow enough room to expand. But I think we're okay for the moment, and we can always move these two somewhere else if we need. What would you like to name your octopus mascot? Well, her name is Trisha. She's an actual employee. She isn't an octopus. So we can just name the octopus Trisha, played by Trisha. All right, so of course we're going to need some filter. Oh, you know what? Let's expand. We only looked at tropical fish. Maybe let's look at some cold water fish now. So things that don't really resemble fish is our theme of this. So we have like tub grenard, who's kind of fishy a little bit. And we're going to get back to the sharks. We can have more skates. There's always room for more skates. We can do the seahorses and sea dragons. They would fit pretty well. The problem, though, is that they are very, very, very demanding. And I want to make sure that we've got proper staffing to feed the very delicate fish. But because the aquarium's small, that shouldn't be a big deal for right now. Then we've got boring fish that are actual fish. We've got cuttlefish and nautilus and octopus. Yes, this could be fun. And then the oddballs, like these are fishy enough, but turbot or turbo, we could definitely put in somewhere. We have the crabs. We have this big honking thing. And then jellyfish, starfish, anemones. So... Let's see. I'm thinking... Oh, and it also takes up a lot of space because these things eat like crazy. So our tank capacity here is 240. And if our fish get to size 6... So 240, let's do some quick math here. 240 divided by 6 is 40. So we can fit 40 of these in the tank. Do we have enough money to do that? So let's see, 443 times 20. Yeah, it's going to be pricey. So let's keep on racking up money as we're going. Oh, and they also need a lot of filtering. So let's try this with our... Totally scrolled right past it. Where am I going? Mega double filter. And we want to make sure we've got enough room to maneuver around this. I'm gonna give this a little more space. So let's attach that, and I know that they're going to need extra filtering. So, and they're also going to need this so that somebody can get up and feed them. Actually, here's what we're going to do. We're going to have this nub expand. We're going to stick these around the corner here. And then we'll have the Mega UV Sterilizer, which removes pathogens from the water, allowing the most sensitive species to be kept in larger tanks. And I think we're going to need that. Of course, we're going to need... these are cold water fish, so we're going to need a Mega Chiller. And this provides 220 size worth of chilling. This is 240, so we actually need one extra thingamadoo. Name the cafeteria Lunch Octopus. I approve. So we're going to attach a pump, because there's not really any room. Like, we could technically stick this right next to the tank, but nobody actually wants to see your equipment just out in the open. People will complain. Like, you can monitor guest thoughts, and people will complain. Like, you can click on any given guest. It's like, this aquarium's clean and tidy. I like that banquette external corner. I like how the area... Oh, they don't like the Greek theme anymore. I guess that time has passed. But I like asparagus weed. I like the southern stingray. And then they will also complain and have you lose prestige if there's stuff they don't like. And having your equipment out in the open where everybody can see it is something they don't like. So we're going to build a pump. And I think we can get away with just a basic pump right here. Oh, what's funny is that you can build stuff on top of people and it shunts them out. Although I did accidentally soft lock all of my staff at one point because I was eliminating an entire area by filling it in. And normally when you do that, your staff will just be shunted back to the nearest location where they can stand. But I guess I picked too large an area and too many staff members, and they were just floating out in the nothingness out to the side, and I could never recover them. So I had to reload my save. So let's move this over here. Well, they did like the Greek theming, and then that just disappeared as something that they liked, so I don't know what that was all about. They can only hold so many thoughts in their head, so that was probably one of the first things that they commented on was, I like the Greek theme, and then it wasn't relevant anymore. And let's be a little symmetrical. Well, okay, so this is not fully symmetrical, but... oh, and I guess I should fill in this with paint as well. Now, something I tend to do, just for my own visual reference when my aquariums get really big, I'll pick a different paint to use for the floor within staff areas. This is not necessary at all. It just helps delineate things. And you can have fun with this because you've got other kinds of paint, like, where we go. So we got, like, jungle paint that makes your floor look like that. Or you've got the other jungle paint. I don't know why these two aren't next to each other. That's annoying. But that makes it look like actual dirt. That you are walking on actual dirt. I'm sure your staff are super happy about that. So yeah, let's change that. Or minimal paint. Minimal paint is always fun. And that's distinctly visually different from everything else. So we'll go with that. So out here it looks like that, but then, boom, oh yeah. Maybe they want the Yoku block floor. Okay, so we've got a functional tank. Now let's figure out what we're going to put in it. So we've got, there we are. Leafy Seadragon, Big Bellied Seahorse. What do you eat? Live mysis shrimp for both of you. And you also need supplements. So let's provide plenty of that on the other side here. And actually we can move these out of the way. We don't need them anymore, but we need to have them available in case we decide to switch who's got what equipped. Or and I don't know if they keep their equipment if you sell the hook that it came off of. So it's something I'm not aware of. All right. So we said live mysis, I believe. Is that correct? Please tell me, fish, what do you want to eat? Live mysis. Yep. Live lugworm, live mysis. Small nutritious shrimp, rich in essential fatty acids. So we're going to need a couple of these. And I'm not doing the math right now. We can do the math later. And then we'll also want to have an extra zooplankton over here so that these can easily be refilled. And actually, we can move these out of the way and have this here. So good, you're filling these up. I'm going to hire an extra staff member just to be safe. Let's see who's got the most feeding ability. Or the other way we could do this is hire someone else who's good at cleaning, or who at least can do cleaning. Feeding, fixing, cleaning. Yeah, I think Hugh might be the way to go. Oh, that changed. Who is available changed because it's a new day. Yeah, feeding, fixing, talking. I want cleaning. Feeding, fixing, cleaning. Yeah, okay. I'm going to pause for a second. So we got Hugh. And I'm going to have you prioritize cleaning. And I'm actually going to disable Richard from doing anything other than feeding, because these seahorses are going to need all of the attention they can get. And I'm going to do a little micromanaging here with my staff. So Trisha, who is doing all the talking and doing all the fixing, can still do feeding. Like, she's got a good amount of feeding skill here, but I'm going to prevent Trisha from feeding the highest level people, or highest level fish, once I introduce them, because I don't want somebody who's got lower skill and takes longer to feed the fish get tied up when there's a whole tank full of very, very tricky fish. I want that to be left entirely to the experts. And you can also disable specific types of food if you want them to feed all of the animals except the ones that eat live mysis shrimp, because right now I think that's just the sea dragons. So what did we say? We said 40 was the number we could fit when they're all fully grown. So let's do 20 of each. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. And then big bellied seahorse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Good, we do have just enough money. But we need to also put plants in here. Forgot about that, so hang tight a second. Got a couple things I need to do. Did I never build... I built the tool thing, I never built the feeding stick. Okay, so you can have the tool belt. And the feeding stick is important, so let's throw that in here somewhere. Actually, here is fine. You can have a feeding stick in the corner here. Nobody's going to care. But we do need lots of plants, and actually that might be the deciding factor. I forgot about that. That's why we can't have too many of the sea dragons and the seahorses in here, because they have boo-ha plant requirements, and there may not be physically enough space in here to provide the plantage that we need. And in fact, I think we're going to need to reduce some of this. Yeah, so the best bang for your buck on the plants. You know, you've got on the smallest side, you've got sea lettuce. A single square of sea lettuce is going to give you a single value of plant. We need 200. We don't have... we've got, 1, 2, 3, 4 by 1, 2, 3, we don't have a lot of math going on there on our side. So the best bang for your buck here, I believe, is the chain halimita, found on shady coral slopes. The discs form chains of 50 centimeters. And so these give you 18 plant total for a 3 by 2 square. And we can put those in here. And then we can fill in the rest with the next best bang for our buck, which I believe is the velvet horn, which is a 2 by 2 square that gives us 9 plant. So we can, but we can't fit that there, and we can't fit that there. So our next best bet, egg rack and sea lettuce are going to be the same. Feather... I can never pronounce this. Feather calurpa. This algae sends out chains of runners that attach to rocks and substrate. Shoots of feathery foliage grow from all angles of the runners. This is our best 2 by 1 bang for our buck. I think they'll ever give us a Mega Man X9? It depends. I feel like, Mega Man is kind of getting back into the public consciousness again, but they also haven't really done anything with the franchise in a few years, so who knows? And then we've got kelp to fill in. So I think... Oh, and yeah, we can pop in some kelp over here. So, I don't know. It maybe not... It's pretty enough. It's fine. But looking at this, we've got a plant value of 109, and we need 200 for all of the animals that are in this tank. That's not going to fly. So we're going to need to reduce the number of seahorses and sea dragons that we have in this tank, or switch them out and do different fish altogether. So the big-bellied seahorse has less of a requirement than the Leafy Seadragon, and also they're easier to take care of, so less of a big deal. So we're going to sell a bunch of the sea dragons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10... And so you can see now we only need 140, but let's be even. Let's sell some of the big-bellied seahorses as well. 2, 3, 4, 5. I didn't actually do the math on this. Yeah, 120 is what we need. 6, 7, 8. Okay, so now we have 109 of 108 plants. So this is, we are just over the limit, or just over the threshold that's required for seahorses. And currently, the tank doesn't look terribly empty, and these creatures are going to grow. They will fill this in a little more nicely. Color-wise, I think they blend in a little bit too much. I'd normally like to break this up with, rocks or other kinds of decorations or stuff, but, we got what we got. So, that's filled in now, and I also like to prioritize the brand new animals so that somebody goes over and feeds them. Just clicking on them. Now they are high priority. Oh, that's the other thing I was going to do. Need to tell our people what they're going to be touching and not touching. So Trisha, I believe it's just live lugworm versus live mysis shrimp. So I only want Richard doing the shrimp. So Trisha, live mysis shrimp. Trisha is not allowed to use live mysis shrimp, and neither is Hugh. Only Richard can feed live mysis shrimp to animals, and right now the ones in this tank are the only ones. And I'm disallowing that because that's three arrows high. That requires lots of skill, and animals are always at risk of dying if somebody is taking too long to feed them. So I want the person with the best feeding ability to focus on that. So now let's fill in. While everybody's doing that, let's fill in with the other side. Also, how you doing, chat? Is this fun? Is this interesting? Is this the kind of thing you'd like to see more of? Or is this just, it's something to do? I'm glad Faison. All right, so we talked about turtles. This seems like a good time. Oh, let's finish looking at the cold water fish, and then I'll switch over to freshwater. So we got about this. Oh no, we did get all the way to the bottom. There are no cold water freshwater fish, but there are tropical freshwater fish. What bugs me about these fish is that even the most basic ones have ridiculous requirements. Like, you look at the tropical fish. The most basic tropical fish, like, this one's a wimp. It can't be housed with a bully. Okay, this one needs to be in a group of 4. Fine. Everything else is, it eats, it needs a certain percentage of tank cleanliness, it grows to a certain size, and it needs to be in warm water or cold water. Like, that's the basic minimum, and all of these basic fish have, like, a requirement, if even. Like, the clownfish, you can just put it anywhere, really, as long as it's not going to be eaten by the fish in the tank. The freshwater fish, even the most basic one, look at the number of requirements here. It's like, you need 5 or more different decorations in the tank. This one needs fluffy foliage. It's not good enough to have plants. You need fluffy plants. This one's territorial. If your fish take up more than 50% of the tank capacity, they start fighting with each other. And, like, these are cool. I like having these kinds of different things you need to take into consideration, but there's too many! And these are just the tiny fish! And so you need to put these fish into humongous tanks, because the little basic, like 4x4 tanks that you might put other similar tiny size 2, 5 fish into will look super empty because there's physically not enough room to put all of the requirements that they need into them. And then as you get larger fish where you need to worry about them eating each other, you have things like plant destroyers, where in addition to having a plant requirement, you need to go above and beyond the plant requirement so they don't eat the plants in your tank and have you buy them to replace them. I mean, wow. But then, we've got some other ones here that are very interesting. So, we're skipping all of the fish. If you tuned in late, we are skipping all of the fish-looking fish. And we're going with ones that don't look like fish, so like the stingrays. I think this is fun. This is a very big... Just drop that on our guests. Let's see what we got. So we can have crabs and shrimp. We can have an anaconda. That'll be fun. Hi, everybody. But we wanted turtles. Somebody was asking for turtles. So this is another plant destroyer. So, turtles need a special kind of tank. They need a beach tank. So you have this little land capacity. So these tanks have land and they have water in them. And you can actually put fish in here. They don't have to just be land-dwelling things. Oh, and we have a growth report. Our ribbon rays have grown. Yeah, so now we have some bigger animals in our front tank here. Yep, land for basking in the light along with the water. So now I believe everybody is up to full size. And we are not at the cleanliness level that we need. We're not filtering this hard enough because now the animals are bigger, generating more waste, and now we actually need to build something else. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this. Yeah, this looks better here. It's funny. There's when you're building an aquarium like this or doing any kind of simulation game. There's this technically works. This meets the need of it provides whatever service I need. Like I can just I can pop this microphone stand anywhere or the mic headset anywhere and it'll just work. But then there's sort of I want to build this as if it were a real aquarium. What would I want it to look like? And I'm kind of splitting the difference here. Some of these things I wouldn't want to subject my workers actually to, but. For purposes of functionality, you'd want to have this facing the door so that you can just run right in. And then, oh, hey, look, there it is, and I turn right around. But aesthetically, this looks goofy, so I would rather turn it this way. And then it still doesn't look great, but at least it's, not blocking anything, and it's out of the way. So what was I going to do? I was going to build a pump to increase the filtration on here. And actually, where am I going to put this? I could put this in the middle, because nobody actually needs to access the middle here. So let's put in a pump. Let's see if the smallest size pump is within connection range. And yes, it is. So we've got that. Actually, we're going to move this to the inside. Because the pumps themselves don't break down. So you never need to have physical access to the pumps, just the stuff attached to the pumps. And I'm going to attach a mega nitrate reactor. Removes excess nitrates. And that should fix our filtration problem. Yeah, now they're not complaining about filtration being too low. Let me look at the armor also. So, this Bluespotted Ribbontail Ray has an effective size of 34. And the Southern Stingray, in 2 days, will grow to size 40. So that means that, let's go back to tropical for a second. That means that in 2 days, we can safely, actually even now we could probably do it, we can safely put our large-toothed sawfish in there who will eat animals up to size 22. Once it's fully grown. For right now, actually, it'll only eat animals up to size 3, and everything in the tank currently is bigger than 3, and it's going to be 6 days till it grows to any kind of dangerous size. So we can put one of these in here. And currently, yeah, let's do 2 of these. I think we can fit, because that's going to be 102. And if you are size 20 and you grow to 40, so we're going to add 40 to the tank between the 2 of you, that's 131. And oh no, that's going to be too much actually. So we can't fit 2, but we can fit 1. So we'll put one large tooth sawfish in there. And you are currently very small. You're probably buried in the rock. I don't even know where you went. Oh, there you are. Hello. So, oh, and let's just make sure your tank mates won't eat you. What do you need? You don't like oh, you don't like rocks. Well, I don't have, oh. I can't put you in there. You don't like rocks. You will damage yourself on rough surfaces. And we need this rock because we have cave lovers. Totally missed that. So we're going to sell the sawtooth, the toothfish. And we're going to put something else in the tank. Well, there's no more room for more rays. But, let's see. You'll eat crustaceans. You'll eat crustaceans. So how about some eels? Eels sound like fun? Do people like eels? Live Artemia. Oh, and here's where the Tetris problem starts to come in, where me not allowing enough room for everybody to have all of the space that they need for everything. Okay, well, let's do this first. Eels. So they need to be in a group of at least 4 or more. Let's do 10. There's there's plenty of room. They are also wimps, and let's make sure none of these are bullies, because they cannot be housed together, and I know they're not. This one is also a wimp, so let's house the wimps together. So, where are we at? Where are my eels? There we go. So let's put 10 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Eels. One of them is in the pillar for no apparent reason and will probably be there for life. And we are meeting all the eel's needs. Darn it, fish. We are meeting all the eel's needs because we have a 2x2 space that's open with nothing in it, and we have enough there, and none of these are just considerations of what tank mates go in there too. Now we need to feed you, live Artemia, Artemia, whatever. Let's put in the first one of these and see how many you require. That's not your permanent resting place there. 10, so you need 30. This only fits 25, so we need 2 of these. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move these walls out. Just get that out of the way. And then I'll move this over here. Let's paint... minimal paint. Okay. We're going to put this over here now. We are also going to rotate these so that people can access this from the other side, if for whatever reason that's necessary. So we need a second one of you. And then we've already got plenty of zooplankton floating around here to fill everybody's boxes. But I will put an extra one here just because of the convenience of having one right next to the stuff that you're going to fill. Okay, so, and then also, let's see, 30 versus, yeah. So I'm going to leave this open. I'm not going to restrict this just to the person with the highest feeding ability. I'm going to leave that open to anybody. So let's just let this go for a second and see. There's a little bit of clipping. You'll see some clipping issues sometimes when things are right flush with each other, like the top of these pillars with the... I don't know if that's getting caught on stream, but they're flickering a little bit as I swing around. But yeah, so we got a lot of stuff on the ground. I think I want to... And, well, okay, you're starting to fly up. Float, float, fish, swim. Swim, fish, sea creatures swim. But I think something that's up a little bit higher would also be cool. Did they die? No, they didn't die. I didn't get an autopsy report. The eels just disappeared. They just disappeared. Oh, there they are. They're starting to come out again. They were hiding. I don't think I've ever seen them do that. Alright. So it's a new day. People got to get fed. Alright. What were we doing? Oh, hang on a second. You're in danger because you're hungry. And you were not getting fed well enough. So I'm going to have Richard... I'm going to disallow Richard from doing any feeding that requires the basic minimum amount of skill, which is filling all of these with food. Everybody else can fill those with food. Richard can focus his attentions on feeding these fish. And so let's watch this and just make sure everybody's getting fed. No, you're still hungry. Oh, yeah, okay. You're being fast. There's just a lot to feed. Yeah, that's the one problem with having too many fish in the same tank that all eat the same food, because as far as I know, you can't really... Yeah, okay, that was fast. You can't really say, oh, feed the big bellied seahorse, ignore the sea dragons for right now. It's just like they have their own set order. I think the fish are drowning. Come on, save the seahorses. You got this. Okay. No longer a danger. And this will just continue to get better because eventually Richard's going to level up. We're going to boost the feeding. So, okay. Got distracted. Turtles! We were talking about turtles like forever ago. let's make a turtle tank. I think a medium beach tank could be fun. So we're going to knock down this wall here. Oh, but we have to keep in mind that we are not going to be expanding the fish size any larger. So maybe let's start with a small beach tank. Oh, and let's also not block off our little tool shed here. Okay, so we have a tiny tank. And we are going to work within the confines of the tiny tank. Yay, our stingrays have grown. So now, this is sort of how I operate. I keep getting distracted on stuff. Why can't a staff member access this? I think you just got confused. All right, so we've discovered two important things. Low water quality, now that we have bigger animals. So big! So let's put in another filter on the backside here. Boop. And people can't get to that anymore, which I don't actually care about. It's not relevant, but let's move this anyhow. Okay, so that cures our filtration woes. Now let's start building a tank for turtles. So we're back to fresh water. Turtles, here we go. So they grow to a maximum of size 8, and they've got they need some plants, and they need extra plants because they are plant destroyers, and they need 5 or more different decorations. So we'll need to be careful about putting too much in here. What else can go in here with them? You're armored. Probably shouldn't put you in with the crocodile or the anaconda. might be a problem. But we could try... Let's see. Okay, so this is also a nibbler, so we can't put any nibbleable fish in there. A fan shrimp I was going to do, because that's also an explorer. It's nice to load your tanks with creatures that have similar requirements. Like if this one's an explorer and that one's an explorer, that just means they need lots of different tank decorations, and the requirements don't stack with each other. You don't need like 5 plus 4. You don't need 9 different decorations. It's just you meet the threshold for each one individually, and so these would be good together. Except this is a nibbleable animal, and so we don't want turtles nibbling on shrimp, so we won't put them together. However, the Panther Crab is a nibbler, and it requires neutral water. It does not require acidic water, so it could theoretically go in with the turtle. So we could try putting the Panther Crab and the turtle together and see what happens. And they're small enough that this can fit. So how big is our tank? We got 50. Yeah, so there's plenty of room in here. Let's start small. Let's start with 3 turtles. And 3 crabs. No, 4 crabs. Let's have the crabs outnumber the turtles. Actually, no. Let's start with 3, because I know we're going to have a lot of requirements that we need to worry about. So we need lighting. Let's add lighting, a power light. Ding. And crabs don't mind the light, so that's fine. We need a platform to get access to this tank, and I think I'm going to restructure this a little bit in just a moment, but we can safely put a wall here. We can move this door to here, and that actually, now that this is completely blocked off from the public, we can knock those down and worry about... We'll fix the floor in a moment, but we can organize these differently now if we want. Better yet, if we do this, then we have room to put bigger equipment on the tank. So we are, of course, going to need... let's see, that needs heating of 50. So let's put in a large heater, which is 90. That's more than we need. And then we also need filtration. The freshwater tanks, an extra issue with the freshwater tanks, is that you are limited in your filtration options compared with the saltwater tanks. So you don't have the mega double filter, so I'm just going to put in what we got. Because we're tight on space, I'm going to move you around the corner. That should be enough filtration there. We also require a platform to access, so actually let's move that to the other side. Let's put the platform here, and then we can put your food against the wall. You want bloodworm, and you want supplement and mussels. So we got bloodworm, and we got supplement down here somewhere. Yep. And we got mussels. Where you be? I'm looking right at it. There we go. Okay, so we now have all the food available that we need. We need 3 of these bogwood logs, or at least something that... Oh, so we have different tank decorations for freshwater, some different kinds of plants, and then these bogwood pieces, which also make the water more acidic, so, which is necessary for some fish, but undesirable for other fish. So we need a value of 3 for bogwood, so we're just going to pop this in wherever we feel like it, which will be right... Put that there for now, and then we will move it as we need. We also... And none of you need empty space, right? None of you need a patch of empty space. Yeah, okay. And then we need... can do a driftwood cave, which will supply the... Actually, let's reorganize this a little bit. Do that. It'll give you the cave that you need, and then we've got plants. So, what do we want to do for plants? I feel like snake grass could be fun. Snake grass is entirely too tall for this tank. Let's not do that. We don't want to do Java fern because that can easily start to get us to acidic territory with the tank. Corkscrew Vallis and Amazon Sword are probably the way to go. Alright, so something like that. We can always redecorate the tank. We can always change things around, make it look more visually appealing. Space Turtle. It's Gamma-Riser. Okay, and you know what? We've got space. We can throw another critter in there if we want. Will anything fit and not be a particular burden on the tank? No, not really. So we'll leave these for now. Now, at this point, we might consider zoning. I'm not going to, but we might consider it. Also, Z-Saber, how are you doing on time? Because I was going to sync up ending this stream with when you need to duck out. So I'm just curious to know how much longer I have to doodle and tinker. Let's bring in some new people. Somebody who's an all-rounder who can hang out on the other side. And these require some skill, but not mad skill, so we can... Yeah, okay, so Sophia's good, feeding and fixing. And we're going to give you... I think I'll also give you... Let's see, how much food do you need? 12... Okay, so you don't need a lot. But let's give you a feeding stick anyhow, because you may... And let's... disable... Was it the mysis shrimp that we didn't want you using? Yeah, you can't use mysis shrimp. So we'll get you another feeding stick. We'll add that in right here. Feeding stick. Okay, let's also fill in with the paint. And good to stay for a bit longer. Okay, cool, thank you. Now, we're going to blow up this wall over here and let people through. So just give you an idea of what we're looking at. We're going to have our turtle tank, our floating turtle tank over here. But we're going to want to provide some more stuff for people. We'll want to put some bathrooms on the other side there. Make sure we don't forget about that. Probably some benches here. So what I'm going to do, I think I'm going to move these over so that we can then have, let's put some seating here. So now we've got a nice little bit of seating along the edge here. We'll also want to fill in with our Greek paint that we have going. So fill that in, we'll fill in the rest later. So that's looking a little bit nicer now. And we'll want more vending machines. We've got vending machines and trash cans right there, but remember that we only have a certain limit on how far people will walk to get to this trash can, so that's that. So we're definitely going to want to put another trash can on the other side. And I like leaving this hallway open enough that people aren't tripping over themselves. I like to leave about at least 3 space away from the front of any tank. But that means we could sneak in some stuff around here. We'll maybe put in some stuff here. Maybe put in some more seating. Oh, no. Here's how we'll do it. We're going to blow that up, and we're going to fill in this space. So now this is big, solid chunk wall. And we're going to have our little banquette seating here. Whoop. So now we've got, all of our vending machine stuff, and then you've got multiple places where you can wander over here, and you can sit and stare at the knotfish. And then something I like to do is have little food nooks. So we don't have an OJ squeezer yet. And actually, we can finally do a wall bin here if we really want. No. So now unfortunately, the walls that you put up look a little messy against the spaces that you fill in or take out. So I'm going to do this. And even though it's not technically necessary, visibly, there's you throw the trash in here and you empty it by opening this door. Nobody actually empties the trash. It empties itself. But because I'm OCD like this, actually, I forget. Oh, you were attached to this tank because you're Frosty. So I'm going to move that there so that someone could theoretically access that if they really had to. Whoops, I did not mean to paint that. I see a trash can and I want to paint it black. Here we go. Where do I keep the seals? Alright, so we got our trash can. We are going to put in an OJ squeezer because we don't have one of those. And we are going to put in self-serve froyo because we don't have one of those. And these are kind of hidden out of the way. We want to make sure that people don't confuse the trash bin for the OJ squeezer and try and shove their trash into there, but hopefully they're smart enough to figure that out. And then let's actually fill that in. So yeah, now we've actually got a snack nook. Yay, snack nook. And if you look at the overlap of the trash can here, so we got trash up to about the middle of that tank, and then this covers the rest of that. So we now have full coverage of trash cans for people. But we're going to want to fill in with some... we need another tank. What do we want to put in the tank? Well, let's see. Any other freshwater stuff that might be of interest? Well, freshwater animals tend to need bigger tanks, and we're kind of tight with space here. Now, we could try to do... Yeah, we could do like a longer medium beach tank and have like pumps down here somewhere, but I think that's going to be too much. So let's go with some smaller tanks. What do we got that's interesting? Actually, I think we're going to do a non-interesting tank here. Well, hang on a second. Oh, here, we could do this. This could be fun. Let's give this enough space on each side. I think, yeah, let's do it this way. And we are going to fill in the wall here, and here, and here. Whoops, don't need that. And we'll worry about what goes on the other side later. We're going to put camo doors on both sides. So they will, the staff will come through here and they'll feed the fish from this side. This is our little feeding station. And then everybody else can look at it from over here and go, ooh, ah! So what are we going to put in there? Well, we could stick with the Ray theme. And let me see. Will you work with an electric eel? Because I think it could be fun to put you in with an electric eel. Yes. Yes, you will. You grow up in 6 days. You grow up in 7 days. So I'm going to put you in first and then an eel later. So you are size 126. 126 divided by 12. So we can fit 8 rays and an eel, if the math is correct on that. Which is probably too much. They're just going to be tripping over each other. Oh, but fan shrimp. You're not going to be big enough. You're just going to get it. Okay, so let's do a reasonable amount. Let's do 5 stingrays, and then we'll put an electric eel in with it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And what do you need? Well, obviously you need heat. Oh, and let's also put a staff door here so people can get in and out that side. So you need proper heating for a size of 126. Let's do the big heater that gives you 220. And then what else do you need? You need good filtration. You're going to need more filtration in the future. So we'll get you... Where are you? Mega filter to start. And then on the other side. And what's nice is that you can have them hooked up even if there's a wall in the way. And then let's put some more filtering on the other side. Do one of these. And then we can also do the... Wait, since when is the Mega UV Sterilizer an option? I feel like that was never an option for the freshwater. Maybe I'm making that up. I'll take it. And you need to be a very acidic tank. Actually, let's get the acidity in order. So you can get acidity for freshwater fish that require acidic water from 2 different places. You can get it from tank decorations that are acidic, so bogwood will bump that up, or you can build machines that pump acidity into the water, or you could do both. But this needs 126. And that's 125. The large RO machine is 125. Actually, so everything can fit in here. I'm going to put that big pump, that big sterilizer back in. So yeah, here's our cool little RO machine. And that requires specific maintenance equipment, the RO membrane dispenser. So we're going to put that right here opposite, that people can grab these dealy-doos. Good luck! Now we also need food, and so I'm going to put in the necessary tank decorations. So these, where are we at? So these Porcupine River Stingrays don't like rocks, so we can't do anything with rock. Oh, and that means we can't put an electric eel in with it because the eel needs caves. Ah! But if we don't do one of the rocky caves, if we just do the wood, that'll work. So let's try this. So we need a 3x3 square, we need 5 bogwood, and we need 3 of the driftwood caves, which count as cave, but do not count as rock. So let's leave this over here as our 3x3 open space. We can do something like that and pretend that's one big cave system. And then the electric eel will also need bogwood in an amount of 5, and this will also provide the last little bit of acidity that we need for this water. So why don't we just go with a nice big bogwood. Forest is probably going to be too much. Let's go for the bogwood trunk. Just put that right there. And so now we have some weird little interesting tank. We could also put in additional decorations if we really wanted to. Although most of the decorations are really geared toward the saltwater ones. Like, you don't think, you know, like the river pirates firing the cannons and having their buried treasure, you know. At least I don't. Some of the Aztec stuff could work, though. But also some of these are very tall, and we have a Greek theme going on. So you can just have... Let's have a hoplite shield. Actually, that'll go better. Let's move this bogwood piece, and then let's randomly put a Greek hoplite shield here, because that kind of. And then I'll move the bogwood so it's not blocking the view. There you go, something like this, just for the fun of it. All right, no. So you need supplement. You need what do you? Live lugworms, and lugworms only fit 25, so we'll need 2 rounds of that. We've got enough space over here, so let's do luggity worm. Let's put in some zooplankton and supplement. Supplement. Okay. And now I will actually do some zoning, because this will get to be a mess if people are running back and forth. And we are going to temporarily block this off. We're not going to let... Actually, we can let people walk through. They will just need to turn around on the other side. You'll get through and be like, oh, we're stuck now. And then people will pile up and be like, please leave. I don't want to be here. Ooh, actually, added bonus. So your view from this walkway here is the feeding platform and the hoplite shield over there. So that's pretty cool. Serendipity. All right, so we are going to finish filling in with the Greek paint for here. And let's also make sure we get these 2 spots. Make sure that's properly done up. And then we also want to start zoning. Okay. Can you make a wall on the other side while someone is inside the tunnel? Oh yes, you can. And they get trapped and they complain about it and you lose prestige. All right, so we're going to make some zones. Let's create a new zone, which is just this. Unfortunately, you cannot have overlapping zones. So if I wanted to have one zone just for cleaning people and, you know, have that overlap this whole area, that would mess with this zone that I've created. And it's calling it Zone 2 because I briefly created a Zone 1 and deleted it, and they just remember the numbers forever. And let's do this as Zone 3. As we continue expanding, we will need to double check this just to make sure that everything's fine. And I don't think you technically need to do this, but I'm including the actual aquarium bits inside there. So we're going to assign Richard to Zone 2 because you need to feed the fancy fish that are in that tank, the seahorses. And Sophia, we're going to assign over to Zone 3. So we have dedicated people for feeding in both spots, and then we have some people who are floating free. Okay, In Another Catzel has 5 minutes, so I'm going to make this 5 minutes. Let's hit play. I'll save in a minute. Let's see how we're doing with our aquarium. So we've got the centerpiece here, which I think looks very nice. Even though we have somebody who's just hanging out inside the rock here. And we have our little food station here. We've got, bathrooms that we can go into if we need to. We'll want to add another bathroom on the other side there at some point. We've got our turtles and crabs swimming around doing their thing. Got somebody feeding them. And then a little farther down, we've got a nice place we can sit. Got more food. And we've got our very sleepy, not going to perform for anybody today, Rays. And then we'll throw an electric eel in there once these are grown enough that the eel isn't likely to eat them. And then we got our seahorses. So that's our pretty little aquarium that we built, and we have some more room to expand. So, and then we see what people think. Oh, you got a froyo. I don't know how you're carrying the froyo, but everybody here has telekinesis. It's cool. You like the seahorse, you like the Leafy Seadragon. It's a good day. And the staff don't complain or anything like that. You don't need to worry about keeping the staff happy. You just need to worry about keeping the customers happy. So I think we have a pretty nice little aquarium going on here. So thank you everybody for joining me. If you're interested in watching me fill out the other half and a quarter, I guess, whatever, of this aquarium at some point in the future, let me know. I was glad to have you around. This is something fun, something different. And I do plan to get back to Mega Man fan games, and I do plan to get back to the Magmal series as well, which falls under Mega Man fan games. But, for right now, focusing on other stuff, working on getting my Magmal 3 obligations taken care of. I've been working on some NPC dialogue stuff for the different tiers lately. So I will get back to other things, but just figured take a break, play something different, put fish in boxes. So, yeah, I think that's it. We are going to save the game and cue up that ending goodbye screen. If you missed any part of this stream, it'll be on YouTube within a few days. And if you're watching this on YouTube, catch me live on Twitch. All the info's there. And then for advance notice about when I'm going to stream, follow me on Discord and Twitter. And I'm also posting on my Gemini Laser and Flashman85 Live YouTube pages under the community section. I'm trying to get better about that. So, yeah, that's it. Thanks, everybody. See you later.